Hey, Darin Germyn with Macdonald Realty here, and I want to take the opportunity to share with you some huge changes that have occurred in the real estate industry. Changes that are going to affect both the way that you as a consumer purchase real estate and also the way that realtors in the marketplace react to buyers and sellers. It's a big change that was introduced by the Real Estate Council of British Columbia, and these changes occurred and became into effect on June the 15th, 2018. So what are the changes? Well, the changes, one of them is along the lines of disclosure to sellers. So this is a really great one. Basically, whenever an offer comes in on a seller's property, now disclosure has to be made prior to presentation of that offer about remuneration or how much is payable by the seller in commissions for any real estate services. Now, this is a great thing because it lets the sellers know exactly what the costs are. However, it is supposed to be done prior to presenting an offer, and it's supposed to be done every single time, even on offers that aren't accepted by the seller. So that's one of the changes. The next change that you're going to want to know about is the elimination of dual agency. So dual agency, for those that you don't know, is when one real estate professional represents two parties. That means that they represent both the buyer and the seller as an agent in their limited capacity. So this is not the same as representing one of the parties as an unrepresented party, meaning they owe no duty of care to them other than to tell them the truth. So anyways, this is a big change because no limited dual agency, that ties us into the big change that I really want you to be aware of today. This has more significant impacts on the industry, I think, than anything. And what that is the new disclosure requirements that real estate professionals are required to make prior to providing any trading services to potential clients. So a trading service can be various things. A trading service can be an opinion. It can be a suggestion. And a trading service can be answering questions like, what do you think of the market right now? And a trading service can be showing property, and a trading service can also be providing pricing on a home, whether you're listing a home or considering purchasing a home. So if we go into the rule, this is exactly what the rule says. Before providing trading services to or on behalf of a party to trade in real estate, a licensee must disclose to the party whether or not the licensee will represent the party as a client. A disclosure made under subsection 1 must be in a form approved by the council and include the following information: the duties and responsibilities of licensees to clients and unrepresented parties, and how to file a complaint about a licensee's conduct. Now, this next part is the one I really want you to pay attention to, and I've even highlighted it here. Now, it uses a couple double negatives, so I'm going to remove those. I'm going to explain it in a little bit of a simpler form. If a licensee solicits or receives information from a party about the party's motivation, the party's financial qualifications, or the party's needs in respect of real estate, a disclosure to the party is required. Well, what does this mean? That means anybody that wants to have a discussion with a real estate professional about their motivation, what they can afford, why they're buying real estate, or anything similar to those topics now requires, by mandate to us as real estate professionals, we are now mandated to provide a form of disclosure, letting that person know that before we can have those discussions with them, we are now required to do this disclosure, and we ask of them to sign off on this disclosure. So this is really going to change the nature of how people buy and sell real estate. The challenge with some of this is there's a term called implied agency. What implied agency is simply implied by my actions or by the actions of somebody else. If I learn too much, or by my actions of making someone assume that I am working for them, I can go into something called implied agency, which can create a conflict. So a better way to think of implied agency is actually called imposed agency. Somebody can actually impose agency on me based on their actions, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. Now, what's the new reality? So how do we deal with this, and why is there concern? Well, one of the first ones is a seller has to be very aware that now I am unable to qualify potential buyers that call on their property. So if someone calls in and wants to see one of my listings, I am not able to ask them if they're qualified to afford the purchase, why they want to come look at it in the first place, why they are moving to the area, do the details of the home work for their family. So we really become an order taker in terms of people calling on our listings now. One of the next ones is the potential of leaving a seller unrepresented. So I mentioned implied agency or imposed agency previously. If the actions of a potential buyer, as an example, towards one of my listings, if I start learning too much information about them and they imply that I'm their agent, we can have a conflict of interest there where I may have to recuse myself from both the seller and the buyer and have other representatives come in to take over. So when you hire a real estate professional and you trust that person, you hire them because of their skill and all the wonderful things that you go and you do when you choose a real estate professional, that can now be challenged because of a duty, if a conflict of interest arises, that agent might have to recuse themselves from being able to help you. Now, one of the next ones, open houses do become challenging. So an open house, the nature of an open house is people just coming through the door. Now a real estate professional's only tool that they can use at an open house is to provide factual information about a home. So to help qualify a buyer and walk them through the process of why this home might work and what all the great things that the community can offer to them, if we learn any financial or motivational or anything like that, any reason that they're buying this home, that's a big challenge. So open houses are going to be very unique moving forward. And the last one is sign calls. Again, we kind of talked about anybody calling on a listing. How do we handle that? How do we address the need to only give factual information without overstepping our boundaries? Now, buyers have a new reality too. Buyers, what they're going to notice is calling a listing agent is going to become difficult because of these changes, because of the potential of implied or imposed agency. People might be very reluctant, people being realtors, to answer questions directly from buyers because they might say too much, implying agency or causing them to have that discussion about agency. So that's one unique thing. Another thing is there might be less open houses out there. The value of doing an open house certainly goes down when you think about only providing factual information that you could also get just off the listing information sheet. Kind of changes the game a little bit. The next one is the representation discussion must take place before providing any trading services. So one of the famous questions that realtors get asked all the time, how's the market? What's the market like? Should I do this? Should I do that? If I choose to offer you an opinion, we now have to have a discussion about my role and the difference between being a represented party and an unrepresented party in a transaction. And me as a real estate professional, I'm going to expect you to acknowledge that and sign off on that prior to me being allowed to offer you any trading services. Now, one thing about this, the choice is certainly simple. The choice is simply you either are an unrepresented party in a transaction or you have a realtor. There's a lot of reasons why you probably don't want to be unrepresented, and just like any job or profession out there, realtors have a specialized knowledge and specialized skills when it comes to buying and selling real estate. So choosing to do that without a real estate professional, probably not the best idea. So is it good in that respect that a lot of people might go out and get their own realtor? Absolutely. Now, this is just change, and change is good. And this change was actually done to protect the public, but it is going to significantly change the way that buyers and sellers like yourself buy and sell real estate. And it's also going to change the actions of a lot of real estate professionals in the way that they handle the public. So again, agency is going to be discussed and disclosed prior to providing any trading services. That is a must moving forward. So expect that a form is going to be sent to you or provided to you before a real estate professional can start offering opinions, suggestions, pricing, or doing showings with you. Now, one of the things you're going to want to think about if you're selling your home is how do you want to handle showings on your home? How do you want to handle open houses? Do you or are you comfortable with the potential of losing your representative throughout the transaction based on sign calls and based on open houses? So having a strategy for that becomes very important. Now, this is one of my favorite ones, is hiring your realtor based on their services, based on their past experiences, and based on their qualifications becomes so important here. Do not hire a real estate professional to represent your home based on the price that they offer you. That is not the right way to pick a real estate professional. But now this becomes even more evident because we are not even allowed to give a price without having that representation discussion beforehand. So you're always looking at me to provide solutions. And believe me, my team has been working on solutions for these, and we've got them. So if you're interested in how we're here to navigate these new changes, give us a call, check out our website, send us an email. Happy to have that discussion with anybody. Don't forget, I need to provide you with the trading services documentation so you know who I represent and who I don't represent. But that's okay. That's one of the changes that we're going to have to navigate moving forward. If you'd like more information, again, either reach out to myself or you can check out the Real Estate Council's website, which is there. I'm Darin Germyn with Macdonald Realty again. I want to thank you for checking out this video, and I'll see you out there. Good luck with your real estate purchase and sales.